Republicans and conservatives are just so stupid. Well, there, pump the brakes. That's a rude way to start a conversation. What do you mean by stupid? Well, when you talk to them, it's clear that they just don't know enough about the issues at hand. It's like they only talk about one side. And you don't? I mean, they're focusing on one side based on what they believe in and what desired outcomes they want. Aren't you doing the same thing? Well, I mean, I guess so. Sometimes, maybe. But it's also a fact that liberals and Democrats are more educated and therefore smarter. So we're equating smarts with education level, right? Just to be clear? Yeah, I mean, typically those who are more educated are smarter individuals. Okay, we're going to come back to that in just a second, but first of all, I want to point out the stat does not say that Democrats are higher educated. The stat says that people who are highly educated are more likely to be Democrats. Okay, what do you mean by that? What's the difference? The difference is saying that people who are Democrats tend to have higher levels of education, versus people who have higher levels of education tend to be more Democrat, right? Really, when it comes down to it, party lines don't really matter when it comes to whether or not you're more educated. However, the more education you gain, the more liberal you tend to become. Does that make more sense? I guess you're saying that Democrats as a whole aren't more highly educated. You're saying that people who are highly educated are Democrats. That's exactly right. And you know what? I have a master's degree, and I am not a Democrat. Yeah, but you got your master's degree from the University of Alabama. That's got to be like a super conservative education. One of my supervising professors who sat on my committee was a self-proclaimed communist who had pictures of Marx, Engels, and Lenin hanging in his office. So, no, not really. In fact, I was in the minority. Most of the people in the department, students and professors, were extremely liberal people. Okay, so you're saying that you somehow had a liberal education in a red state and came out conservative? Absolutely. I was lucky to have a lot of educators and professors who, instead of teaching me to think like them, taught me to think critically for myself and to come to my own conclusions based on the evidence that I would find. And that is a skill that everybody needs. That's interesting. Now, you said you'd come back to the point I made about equating education levels with intelligence? Absolutely. So while the majority of people who have a master's degree or a PhD may be Democrats, a majority of Democrats do not have a master's degree or PhD. Okay, and what's your point? So if we're going to make the false claim that education level equates to intelligence, which I can promise you it doesn't, then that means that I, as someone with a master's degree, am smarter than 75% of Democrats. Oh, so that would mean that there's a 75% chance that as a Democrat, I'm smarter than you. Oh. And it's important to note here that I've met many people who have PhDs and master's degrees who are not the brightest bulbs in the bunch, and I've met people who have a GED or less and are geniuses. So saying that Democrats are smarter just because they're higher educated, it's pretty stupid.